Hello everybody, Rob here from the Bayfields Light Railway, and today I feel compelled to tell you about something that arrived on my doorstep earlier in the week, and that is this. The brand new book, which has been published by the Vale of Rheidol Railway, Narrow Gauge Enigma, the story of Peter Rampton and his Collection X. As you can see, it is a doorstop of a book, and having spent the last few days going through it, it has blown my mind. So for those of you who are into narrow gauge railways, you probably already know about Collection X. But for those of you who don't, there was a chap, the late Peter Rampton, who sadly passed away in 2019. From the late 50s, early 60s, he started collecting narrow gauge locomotives and equipment from all over the world. At this time, a lot of industrial sites were winding down their railway operations, and a lot of these locomotives were destined for scrap. Peter started collecting locomotives, and they were imported back into the UK, stored away rather secretively on his farm in Surrey. A lot of the engines had literally finished work. They were imported over to this country and stored away in his farm. And this collection of locomotives eventually got the name Collection X. The collection itself was always surrounded in mystery, which made it really, really intriguing for us narrow gauge fans. And because Peter was such a private man, hardly anyone saw the collection. It was rarely publicised in the narrow gauge press or the railway press at the time. I first heard about Collection X via a few online forums, probably about 15 or so years ago. At the time, I didn't think it was real, and until some people told me that they knew people who actually went and saw some of Collection X. But of course, because the collection was incredibly secret, there was very little information out there, and certainly no photographs of this stuff. And of course, that air of mystery about the entire farm and its contents was extremely intriguing and interesting to not only me but anyone who were into narrow gauge trains. The locomotives he had in Collection X were incredibly rare, especially the ones from India, which he managed to import back into this country. And yeah, no one ever got to see it until now, where the entire story of Peter Rampton and his Collection X has now been published in this incredible book. I have to say, absolutely incredible book. So here we have, finally, the story of Collection X and Peter Rampton has finally been revealed in this book, published only this week by the Vale of Rheidol Railway. As well as the story of Peter Rampton and how the collection started out, there is hundreds of rare photos which have been published for the first time of locomotives where they worked originally and arriving and being stored at his farm. You can see why the collection was never open to the public, because the way these locos were stored, literally stuffed in barns. From the book, I get that Peter was an incredibly private man. He was also a perfectionist. From the book, I now know that he wanted to restore all these locomotives to absolutely pristine condition, and the job at hand was clearly overwhelming and extremely expensive. So he really turned his attention to just getting hold of as much stuff as he possibly could before it went to scrap and storing it for a later date, and that's exactly what he did. Many of the locomotives in Collection X have been in store for a very, very long time, and not forgotten about, but just left alone. And in fact, there is a quote in the back of the book where Peter Rampton says, "I've done my bit saving them. It's up to others now to do something with them." And that is what is now starting to happen. Over the last few years, the collection has slowly been moved to the Vale of Rheidol Railway, who now have an absolutely fantastic museum, which I visited for the first time last year and is absolutely worth the trip. It is incredible. And a lot of the stuff from Collection X is now starting to go into that museum at the Vale of Rheidol Railway. And although I cannot wait to see this stuff restored and in steam one day, it is really interesting to see it in its basically as used condition. Peter did manage to restore something, which was the Isle of Man coach, which I did see for the first time last year. And no joking, It is the best restored railway carriage, I think, in the world. To see it and the painstaking restoration that has been done on it, it is absolutely superb. I really can't stress that enough. So I cannot wait to see the rest of what that has in store for the rest of Collection X at the Vale of Rheidol Railway. I guess really we've got to say thank you for Peter for rescuing all this stuff and storing it away. The Collection X story is absolutely fascinating, and having now spent a few days going through this book, I have to say it is one of the best railway books I've ever read. But the highlight for me of this book, and I'm sure to all of us model makers, are the drawings. There is drawings in this book of all the locomotives in Peter's collection. Stephen Phillips, who put the book together, also did the drawings. And if you're familiar with the Linton and Barnstable Measured and Drawn book or the Vale of Rheidol in detail book, you'll know how good Stephen's drawings are. If you're a model maker like me, this book will keep me going for years because there are locomotives in Peter's collection that I really want to make models of, and they're all here in 7mm scale, which can be easily blown up to 60mm scale. And yeah, absolutely fantastic. Like I say, this book has blown my mind, and there it is. Narrow Gauge Enigma, the story of Peter Rampton and his Collection X. Do not be put off by the price tag. This book is an investment, and like I say, this book will keep me going for years on the drawings alone. Absolutely fascinating. I would get a copy soon. I don't know how many copies the Vale of Rheidol have or they have had printed, but this is what happens with railway books like this on a reasonably niche subject. They then go out of print and the price tag often doubles. So get a copy now while you can. It is absolutely worth it. Do not be put off by the price, which I pre-ordered this and I picked it up for £70. The price has now gone up to £80, but like I say, do not be put off by the price. This book is absolutely incredible. If you are a model maker of narrow gauge railways, you've got to get a copy just for the drawings alone. Absolutely incredible. I must commend the guys at the Vale of Rheidol Railway and Stephen Phillips for delving into Peter Rampton's extensive archive and compiling this book along with the drawings. Absolutely incredible. Get a copy while you can. I'm now going to edit this together and make it make sense, but there you go. New book from Vale of Rheidol Railway arrived this week. Get a copy. It's awesome. Anyway, thanks for watching. This is probably the first and last book review I'll ever do. I've been Rob from the Bayfields Light Railway, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye for now.